Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We started a little bit last week, but I'm going to just refresh it from last week. Okay, so in Islam, you have two main sciences. Okay, one science has to do with what a person does. Okay, and another science has to do with what a person believes. Okay, so for example, we just prayed. Which of the two sciences does it have to do with? What a person does because he's doing it. A person puts money in the box. That has to do with what a person does. If a person fasts, it has to do with what a person does. And then you have beliefs, like believing in Allah, believing in the hereafter, because it's not something you're doing, it's a belief. Okay. In terms of the belief, there are 7 things a Muslim believes in. Okay. Number 1, he believes in Allah. Number 2, amantu billahi, he believes in the angels. He believes in the books. He believes in the messengers. He believes in the last day. He believes in fate. And he believes in resurrection, life after death. These are the 7 things he believes in. As far as what he does, his actions are in 5. So on this side you have 7, and on this side you have 5. The 5 things that a Muslim that has to do with what he does is number 1. Number 1 has to do kind of with this. It's to believe in one Allah. Number 2 is Salah. Number 3 is to fast in the month of Ramadan. Number 4 is to give zakah. And number 5 is Hajj to Mecca. We'll go over all of these in detail, but I'm just trying to paint the skeleton right now. So last week we had started with the 7 on this side. And we had spoken about Allah. We had spoken about the angels. We had spoken about some of the prophets, some of the books, and a brief discussion on all of these 7. To recap, I had said that when it comes to belief in Allah, it means to believe in Allah, tawheed. It's called tawheed in Arabic. It means the oneness of Allah. It means to believe in Allah as He is, with all of His names, attributes, and to accept all of His orders. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has names, He has attributes, He has qualities, He has orders. You need a class? Come into the class? Oh, the other door. So to believe in Allah with all of these things, His names, attributes, and all of His orders is part of Tawheed, number 1. Number 2, angels. We had said that angels are beings made from a certain type of a light. It's called the nur in Arabic. It's a certain type of light. They are beings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that do not have free will. So they don't have choice. So whatever they're commanded to do, they do. So some of them spend all of their time in the worship of Allah. Some of them spend all of their time in dhikr, or remembering Allah, or praising Allah, or prostrating to Allah. Whatever they're commanded to do, they do. But there is some out of the many who have different standing, and they stand amongst the rest. So number 1, you have what they call Angel Jibreel, or in Christianity or other religions, they call him Gabriel. Now his main job was he was to bring the revelation to the different prophets. Number 2, you have what we call Mikael, or in Christianity they call him the Archangel Michael. Now Mikael, his job was he facilitates the weather. With the order of Allah, he facilitates the weather. You had Israfil, who blows the trumpet. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destines that the earth is to be terminated and resurrection is to start and everyone is to die, then a trumpet is blown. And the one who's in charge of blowing that trumpet, his name is Israfil. So that's his job. There's another angel named Israel. He's considered the angel of death, the one who takes your soul. Then you have Munkar and Nakir. Their job is to question a person in the grave. So 2 of them, Munkar and Nakir. They question the people in the grave. Then you have what we consider or we call kiramun katibin, angels on your right and left. They record your good deeds and they record your bad deeds. And there's many different angels, but these are some who stood out amongst the rest, so we mentioned them. Then we went into prophets and books. There were many different prophets, and a believer, his job is to believe in all of the prophets in their position, in their position. Because other religions also believe in prophets, but then they started taking them out of their position. So for example, the Christians, they took Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, or Jesus as a prophet, and then they took him out of the realm of prophethood and they made him God. Or different nations took their prophet and made them into something else, like Uzair. There was another prophet, his name was Uzair. They took him to be son of God as well. So you take your prophets in their standing. And then we talked about books. So there was different books that were given. Okay, so the Quran was given to the Prophet ﷺ. Then you had the Bible that was given to Isa, the Torah that was given to Moses. There was a book given to Dawood. That book was called Zabur. There was a book given to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. All these different books, but those books, they were not preserved like the Quran was preserved. So we believe in the book that it was given, but we don't believe it's the same book that it is today. They're two different books, of course, and that's historically proven. And then there's the last day, which is when you will be brought back and questioned before Allah. There's fate, which is whatever happens in life, whether it's good or it's bad, it was already predestined and determined before. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already determined everything in His knowledge. Sometimes this is a hard concept to grasp, so we'll have to go into it in detail and we'll get there soon. But that's the general outline. And the last one is resurrection, life after death. This is on this side. So we had covered that last week. Today we will speak about the 5 on this side. Okay? The 5 that have to do with what a person does. Number 1, I said, was Tawheed, oneness of Allah. Number 2 is Salah, prayer. Now, I think we all know that when it comes to prayer, we are speaking about the 5 daily prayers. Number 1 is called Fajr. Number 2, Dhuhr. Number 3, Asr. Number 4, Maghrib. Number 5, Isha. 5 daily prayers. If you had to really analyze what is the most important thing after having proper belief, it's Salah. The most important thing after a person believes in Allah is just that he prays 5 times a day. That's his most important job. It's a very crucial, critical step that a believer has to do. Pray these 5 times a day. Now, the first discussion when it comes to the 5 prayers is discussing the time. Every prayer has a time window. Okay, a time when it enters and a time when it closes. Nowadays, it's become very easy because they have timetables. But technically, when it comes to the prayer, it goes by the position of the sun. And it's important to know the position of the sun because sometimes you'll find yourself in a place where you have to pray and you won't necessarily know what is the timing in that area. So, for example, if you travel on a plane and the time for Maghrib comes or the time for Asr comes, you don't even know where you are. So how are you going to know what prayer you have to pray? You're going to open up a window and you're going to have to look at the sun. Or you're traveling. Let's say you go camping and you're not sure what the time of that area is. You go by the sun. Every prayer goes by the sun. Even the times that they came up with by the sun. So it's important to know what position the sun is supposed to be, so you know when exactly you're supposed to, when it came in and when it ends. When it ends. So the first prayer you have is Fajr. Okay. In English, you have this term called dawn. Do you know what dawn is? When the light breaks. Yeah. So you have the horizon, okay? You have the horizon. You have the sun. The sun rises on the eastern horizon, okay? So the horizon, and then depending where you are, the east, okay? So the sun is rising. Before the sun has risen, when the sun is like right here, okay? There's a certain position of light that shoots vertically. Okay? There's a position of light that's white that shoots vertically. When the sun moves a little bit more, a red light comes that shoots horizontally. Okay? So there's white light that's vertical and red light that's horizontal. When the white light that is vertical shoots up from the sun into the horizon, this is not considered dawn. Islamically, it's not considered dawn. When you have red light that shoots horizontally on the horizon, dawn has started. Very important. Why is this very important? Because Fajr starts at dawn. Fajr starts at dawn. But more importantly, what else starts at dawn? Fajr starts at dawn. That's very important. But there's something very important that starts at dawn. From the sister side, you could answer that question too. Sister, do you know? Oh, buddy, she's not even listening. And I said that. Do you know what we're discussing? Okay, what are we discussing? Okay, and what is the red light that's horizontal called? In English? Yeah, dawn. Okay. Now I said, what starts at dawn? Why are we discussing the starting of dawn? Fajr starts. Fajr starts at dawn. Okay. Okay. But there's something more important that starts at dawn. But what is it that starts at dawn besides Fajr? Fasting. Your fast starts at dawn. So when it comes to Fajr, if you waited 5 minutes and you prayed, it's fine because you have all the way till sunrise, correct? You could wait 30 minutes. But dawn, when it comes to fasting, has to be exact. Because if you're 1 minute over, your fast is broken. If you're 30 seconds over, your fast is over. So yeah, only for Ramadan. Yeah, that's correct. So dawn in Ramadan is very important because you have to know, wait, did my fast start? Is my fast, when does it start? When do I start fasting? That's why dawn in Ramadan is very important. Now, I don't want to get a little bit too technical or too academic because it might be a little bit too much in the beginning. But I'll just mention this and let me know if you guys understood it. How is a person going to know when the horizontal light came on the horizon? Go back before NASA or even NASA. How are they going to know? Well, they look at the sun. They're going to have to go look, right? They're going to have to go and see, did the sun come? So they send a group of people to go and look, okay? Now, we're talking about years ago, okay? So there was a group of people, they went to go and see, when does dawn start? We're talking about Islamic scholars. A group of people, Islamic scholars, went to go see, when does dawn start? They went, and they came up with the conclusion that the sun is here. When the sun was over here, dawn started. When the sun was over here, dawn started, okay? Oh yeah, good point. It's 15 degrees, okay? 15 degrees on the horizon. It's light. It's 15 degrees. They could see? Yeah, when I use the board, they can see too, but I don't have a marker, unfortunately, today. We'll set it next time. Inshallah. 15 degrees, okay? This is very important. Very important. I'm going to tell you why it's very important. So they said when the sun was at 15 degrees, dawn started. They said, okay, we went, we saw it. Now the problem is, at a certain point in humanity, when they started introducing artificial light, eyes became adjusted to artificial light. Okay? So when you go into a position where there's no light, it's darkness, what happens to your eye? This might be so scientific. It's like, what is this Islamic class? This is a science class. When you go into a dark room, what happens to your eye? Yeah, your pupils expand. And the reason why they expand is to allow more light to come in. Now a person's in the middle of nowhere, okay? Because he has to observe dawn. And dawn, you can't tell dawn over here, you got all of these lights. You have to go somewhere far remote, okay? So his pupil is going to take time to expand to the point where he's able to see, oh, there's a light there. It's not like dawn happens and there's a clear light. You have to be able to spot it in the darkness, very faint. So this group, they went and they saw it, okay? Then they were sitting after some time. They said, you know what? We should repeat it. We should repeat it. But they repeated it without the main guy. Okay? So let's say it was a group of 5, and the main scholar, when they came back, they said 15. And then the other 4 said, you know what? We should recheck that. They went and they rechecked it. And this time, instead of doing it 1 or 2 days, they did 1 or 2 weeks so their eyes could adjust. And they came back and they said, yeah, yeah. They came back and they said, no, it wasn't at 15 degrees. Dawn is at 18 degrees. So a little bit more this way, adjusted. So nowadays you see that when dawn comes in over here, it says 5:12. 5:12, they took 15 degrees. They took the later time. But if you were to go to some other masjid, they would say dawn comes in at 4:54. Why do they have 2 different times?
Because of the adjusting of the.
Oh, let's, sister, why do they have 2 different times? They have 2 different times because one people took 15 degrees and one people took 18 degrees. So they came up with 2 different times. So you find some people are fasting at 5:12 and some people are fasting at 4:54. It's a matter of 20 minutes, but it's a huge 20 minutes. Now, what I always say is, when it comes to matters that are important like this, it comes to matters that are very important, even though technically you could say 5:12 is correct because some scientist, astronomer said, yeah, that was when dawn is. You want to be very careful. You want to be very safe. So if someone had the opinion, no, dawn didn't happen at 15 degrees, it happened at 18 degrees, it's better that you take 18 degrees. Because let's say 15 degrees was correct, okay? 15 is 5:12. If the guy started fasting at 4:55, did his fast count? Of course. He was already fasting by 5:12. But let's say dawn was at 4:54 and this guy started fasting at 5:12. Did his fast count? No, because dawn was over here. Always better to take precaution, okay? This may have been too much, but
So let's say you break fast, you break fast all day.
nah. So that's when Fajr starts, okay? Then you have all the way till sunrise. That's when Fajr ends. Now Fajr is composed of um, uh, 4 units, okay, of prayer. 4 units of prayer. 2 of those units of prayer are what we call mandatory. It means you have to do it. 2 of those 4 you have to do. Farad. 2 of those 2 are farad. The farad means you have to do it. Okay. Another 2 are sunnah, which means that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he was very punctual on them. He did them. And he said that there's a lot of reward in doing them. So we also do them. So it's coupled with 2 and 2. Okay? Um, in terms of the prophetic traditions, what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did, they are categorized into 2 types. Okay? Type number 1 is what we call mu'akkidah. It means the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he always did it. He always prayed 2 units of prayer before Fajr. Always did it. So it's very emphasized, okay? And then you have prophetic traditions that he did sometimes and he left sometimes. Or he did majority and he left other times. We call these non-emphasized. They're not emphasized. In the emphasized ones, we too should also be emphatic on doing them. So if he always prayed 2, we also pray 2. In these ones, we do it too, but if he left it, sometimes we leave it too, okay? So the 2 units before Fajr, he did it, we also do it. So Fajr goes from dawn to sunrise. Now here's a little bit of a brainstorming question. Let's say sunrise today is at 6:30.
6:30 today.
Let's say a person started his prayer at 6:28 and he finished at 6:32. Does his prayer count?
Yes.
He's, he started at 6:28 and he finished at 6:31. Did his prayer count?
It does. It does.
What are you guys? What are you basing this off? Or let's ask the sisters.
What do you think?
I heard that it counts if you got the first workout within like a certain time before,
The end time?
I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it once in a while or every time?
No, it's just what did it count that day, the day he did it. If he does it every time, it's a sin, but does it count? That's all we want to know. Does it count? Basically, to make it a long story short, some scholars said it counted and some scholars said it didn't count. And the reason why they said it didn't count is a very detailed explanation. We won't go into that. But some said it counted and some said it didn't count. That's the end of the story. So he goes from dawn to sunrise. Then there are 3 times in the day you are not allowed to pray. Not allowed to pray. 3 times in a day you can't pray. Number 1 is sunrise. When the sun is rising, you're not allowed to pray. Okay. And number 2 is when the sun is at the zenith. It means this is the horizon. This is the horizon. The sun rose here, and the sun sets here. When the sun is directly in the middle, it's called the zenith. Okay. When the sun is directly in the middle, you're not allowed to pray. Zenith. And number 3 is sunset. Sunrise in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. And the reason for this is to be opposite from what they call the fire worshippers. Yeah, I think in Arabic they call them the Majusi. Majusi, they've worshipped the sun at those 3 instances. So to go opposite to them, you don't worship, you don't make any prayer at sunrise, the zenith, and sunset. Okay, so then you had Fajr, you prayed, then sunrise came. Now you're not going to pray at sunrise, and then you wait after sunrise. Between sunrise to the zenith, from sunrise to the zenith, you don't have any mandatory prayer. You have some other sunnah prayers, but no mandatory prayer. And right now we're just talking about mandatory prayers. So all the way from sunrise to the zenith, no mandatory prayer, okay? As soon as the sun passes the zenith, so this is the middle. As soon as it goes just like this, the next prayer starts. And the zenith, the center.
Is that noon?
Noon. Yeah. But nowadays, most people refer to noon as being 12 o'clock. Technically, 12 o'clock doesn't mean that the sun is at the zenith. So that's why I'm going very punctual. When I said this, it means the zenith, okay? So as soon as the sun passes the zenith, and what is the zenith?
When it's in the middle?
Yeah, when the sun is directly in the middle. It moves a little bit closer to the western horizon. And why the west? From the sisters. Why is the sun going to move closer to the western horizon?
That's where the sun sets.
That's where the sun sets.
But I had a question.
Okay.
Is there a more favorite opinion when it comes to like whether the Fajr prayer is accepted or not?
If you were to pray it at the end time?
Like with the scenario
that I gave, is there a more accepted opinion?
Yeah.
According to the scholars that I personally follow, the accepted opinion is that it did not count. According to other scholars that are still accepted, but it's not the accepted opinion that I follow, they said it does count. But according to us, it didn't. And we have our own evidence to say why not. And they have their own evidence, but according to us, we say no. Okay. But there's going to be a curveball, so it's going to be interesting. Okay, so when the sun moves past the zenith, the next prayer starts. That's called Dhuhr. Dhuhr started. Okay. Dhuhr goes. Dhuhr goes. Now, Dhuhr you have four sunnah, which is the four of the prophetic tradition, and those are in this category, which is emphatic, emphasized. The Prophet always prayed them, peace and blessings be upon him. Those four before Dhuhr, four sunnah, always pray them. Then you have four farad, mandatory. So that's already 8. And then you have afterwards another 2. Those are you should be praying them as well. Another 2 after the mandatory prayer. So you have 4, 4, and 2. And some scholars added an extra 2. So 4, 4, 2, 2. But at the very least, it should be 4, 4, and 2 for Dhuhr. And if you can, add the extra 2. So this is Dhuhr. That's how many units of prayer you have, okay? Mm-hmm.
So we do the 4 rakats of Sunnah first, then the 4 hard prayers, and then 2 rakats Sunnah, right?
Correct.
So let's say the time, like if the prayer time is gonna pass.
Oh, this is a good question.
So can I say my 4 hard prayer first, then do my 6 Sunnah after?
Okay. Let's say the time is going to finish. Okay?
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah. The question that the sister asked is, if the time is running out, can she pray her farad first and her sunnah after? Okay? Um, Technically, so when you ask this question, do you mean that you're gonna pray the sunnahs of dhuhr in the time of dhuhr or outside the time of dhuhr?
So I'm gonna pray my 4 hard prayer because it's mandatory, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I'm gonna do my Sunnah prayers.
Uh-huh.
I just wanna make sure that my hard prayer
Is good. Yeah, you could do that. It's not the same, but it still is relative to the same. But it's not exactly the same. However, what you don't do is you don't pray those sunnahs outside of its time. Okay, I'll get there later, okay? Just keep that question in mind and I'll get there later. Inshallah, hopefully, unless I forget. But so you have 4 sunnah, 4 farad, 2 sunnah, okay? In dhuhr.
Those are muqtada or ghair muqtada?
Mu'akkada. Yeah.
But some say ghair muqtada.
Not the first 4. The first 4 are mu'akkada.
All of them.
All of them. In the day, you have 12 that are mu'akkada. 4 sunnah, 12 rakats that the Prophet ﷺ always prayed. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so 4, 4, and 2. So then you have Dhuhr that started right after the zenith, okay? Now, the sun is moving to the western horizon, okay? The way that you are to calculate Dhuhr, the ending of Dhuhr, so that was the starting of Dhuhr. Now we need to know the ending. The way to calculate the ending of Dhuhr is if you were to stick an object in the ground. You stick a spear in the ground, or you stick a pole in the ground. The sun is over here, okay? The sun is over here, moving like this, okay? Now the sun is probably over here. You stick a spear in the ground over here. Which way is the shadow going to fall? The sun is here. Object is here. Shadow is going to fall here, okay? Sun, object, shadow. Sun, object, shadow. When the shadow is double the length of the object, Asr has begun and Dhuhr has ended. Did you get that? You stick a bottle, it's got to be double the length, the shadow. Dhuhr has ended, Asr has begun. But some scholars said no. Dhuhr ends and Asr begins when the shadow is 1 time the object. Okay? 1 time the object. So the sun's going to be a little bit earlier. So for that reason, you will find that on this clock it says 4:53. This is when the shadow is 1 time. But if you go to some other masjids, their Asr time will be 5:53. A whole hour later. Because the sun has to go to double, the shadow has to go double its shadow. All the way till 5:53. So some guy will be praying Asr at 4:53, and some guy will be praying Dhuhr at 4:53. That's how it works. That's how difference of opinions works. You see that? So that's why it's
Both are fine.
no. It depends. It depends on the situation. Okay, as a person, I don't want to make it too confusing because then it might get a little bit too much. But technically, as an individual person, you stick to one. You don't say on Monday I pray at 4:53, on Tuesday I pray at 5:53. I don't go back and forth. But you do change if, let's say, you went to a masjid. Let's say I pray at 5:53, but my local masjid prays at 4:53. Then I'll pray at 4:53. Okay, make sense? Or so on and so forth. But you don't try, if you're just praying at home. One day you pray at 4:53, one day you pray at 5:50, like this. But some scholars have even said, if you stick to 5:53, even if you pray in a masjid, you stick to 5:53, no matter what. But this is a very detailed discussion, so we won't get into that. Regardless, I just want you to know why there's differences in times. The differences in times are based on the differences in the sun, whether it's one shadow, two shadows. So you understand why some schedules they have two times for Asr. If you look at some schedules, they have two times for Asr. Or if you go in you may use an app. If you go in your app settings, why does it say 15 degrees, 18 degrees, Hanafi, this, that? It's because of different positions of the sun. Make sense? Sisters, make sense? When it's 4:53, it's going to be one time the object that you stick in the ground. So if there's a tree, it's going to be one times the length of the tree. And at 5:53, it's going to be two times the length of the tree. Okay, got it? And that's how Dhuhr ends, Asr begins. In Asr, you have 4 rakat sunnah, 4 rakat farad. 4 rakat sunnah, 4 rakat farad. But these are not mu'akkidah. 4 rakat sunnah, 4 rakat farad. Then you have Asr that goes all the way up till sunset.
Asr has 4 sunnah as well.
Yeah, but not mu'akkidah, but 4 sunnah. Yeah, 4. And that goes all the way up till Asr, till sunset, the beginning of Maghrib. Now this is important too. There are 2 times in a day where it's not necessarily haram, but it's disliked that a person prays. One of those times is after he has finished Fajr till sunrise. So he's finished praying Fajr. Now he doesn't stand up and pray more. Once you finish the Farad of Fajr, let's say you finish the Farad of Fajr at 6 o'clock and sunrise is at 6:30. It's disliked that you start praying from 6 to 6:30. Don't do that. And it's haram that you pray at 6:30. Make sense? Because that's sunrise. It's also disliked. Asr is at sunset is at 7:50. So if you prayed Asr at 7 o'clock, it's disliked that you pray from 7 to 7:50, and it's haram that you pray at 7:50. Got it? It's disliked. You're not supposed to pray those 2 times. So make sure if once you've done the Farad of Fajr and you're done the Farad of Asr, then you don't pray in those times until sun set. Now the sun has set. Okay. Now, one thing you have to be very careful in both sunrise and sunset is this is the horizon, or this is the horizon. This is the horizon. Okay, horizon. This is the sun. The sun is now setting. Okay, sun is setting. Sun is setting. This is the ball of the sun. When the tip of the sun hits the horizon, that's considered sunset. So your time will say 7:49 on your phone. Today it will say 7:49. But 7:49 is when? 7:49 is when the tip of the sun, the bottom of the sun, hit the horizon. So did the sun set, yes or no? No, it didn't. Technically, it did not. So you have to give it some time for at least the whole sun or majority of the sun to pass. This may take another 5 or 10 minutes, okay? Now, this is very important because not just for Maghrib, because I told you it's haram to pray at sunset, right? So if you say, it's haram to pray at sunset, okay, then I'll pray at 7:50. I waited 1 minute. You didn't wait enough. The sun is still, you think it's only haram to pray for 30 seconds? No. It's got to be haram to pray for the sun, majority of the, it's got to be at least 5 minutes. Now, for people in Maghrib, they understand this. This concept that I just explained, they understand this concept. But when it comes to fasting, they don't understand this concept anymore. So for example, the time is 7:50, okay? The time on the clocks is 7:50. But the masjid prays Maghrib at what? 7:55. They prayed Maghrib, but they broke their fast at 7:50. How does that make sense? Because you break your fast when you pray Maghrib. You don't break your fast at the tip of the sun. You break your fast when the sun has gone down. This is when it's, so you cannot be breaking your fast at 7:50, but you only pray Maghrib at 7:55. That means you break your fast at 7:55. Does that make sense? Sisters, did you get that? It makes sense? This is very, very important because majority of masjids that you go to, they break their fast a few minutes early. Technically a few minutes early. They do. As soon as it hits the time. And I'm saying, I try to tell them, it's not correct. You got to wait at least another 4 minutes. Come on. And they fasted all day. And the problem is, I'll tell you what the problem is. This is a very critical principle in religion. In the religion of Islam, this is a very critical principle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive a person who made a mistake. Okay? You made a mistake, God can forgive you. But God will not forgive, or I don't want to say not forgive because God can forgive everything, but the deen or the religion does not look over a person who's negligent or a person who was ignorant. You should have known. Now this is not a mistake. Why? You should have known what time to break your fast. You should have gone and checked. You should have asked. Negligence we can't overlook. Mistakes we overlook. Negligence, that's on your side. Ignorance, that's on your side. Why should we overlook it? This, a person who breaks his fast early, and he breaks it just because the masjid gave adhan, even though it's on the masjid technically, but he was being negligent. So now his fast may not count. So it's very important. You have to be very careful with these things. Very careful. Okay. Nevertheless,
But to be safe, you should wait.
at least 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So you look at your phone is going to tell you sunset today was at 7:49. Straight away, you'll be like, I'm breaking my fast at 7:53. As soon as. Some masjids, what they did is they added it to the calendar. Okay? So I know like in Northern Virginia, some masjids, instead of writing Maghrib 7:49, they write Maghrib 7:53. They added the 4 minutes for you. But this masjid, they didn't. I think they added 1 minute. But 1 minute's not enough time. I don't even know if they added a minute. But it's not enough time. Okay, then you have Maghrib. Maghrib starts. Maghrib you have 3 rakat farad, and then 2 rakat sunnah. Okay?
So when the sun is completely gone down, the Maghrib starts.
Even if it's not completely gone down, but at least majority has gone down. Because to completely go down, it may take more than 4 or 5 minutes. It may take 8, 9, 10 for it to completely go down. But at least not just the tip. More has gone down. Then you pray Maghrib. Asr ends. So yeah, 3 rakat farad and 2 rakat sunnah for Maghrib. And then Maghrib goes, and it continues until, again, the same discussion that happened at dawn happens for Isha as well. Okay? So some scholars, they said on the horizon, when the sun has set, then there's 2 lights that's going to come again. Number 1 is the red light is going to show, and number 2 is the white light is going to show. And the red light is from when after the sun has set past the horizon. One of them is at 15 degrees and one of them is at 18 degrees. So some scholars said Maghrib ends and Isha begins at 15 degrees. And some scholars said no, Maghrib ends and Isha begins at 18 degrees. So this time over here, it says 9:07. They took 15 degrees, the earlier time. And if you were to look on another timetable, it might say 9:25. They took 18 degrees. So they had a little bit more time than for Isha. So you have 2 different times.
You
Now,
can do your Maghrib as long as you see red light.
mhm.
As long as you see red light
Mm-hmm.
in the sky, you can do Maghrib.
Mm-hmm.
But once you don't see red light, then Maghrib time is lapsed. No.
Well, technically, these lights that you're going to see is not going to be in the sky. It's going to be on the horizon.
Right.
Yeah. So the two lights that you're going to see on the horizon is going to be red or white. The red is earlier, white is later. So if the red light is there, that's 15 degrees. So some scholars said Isha has now begun. And some scholars said no, when you wait till the white light at 18 degrees, then Isha has begun. So you have two different timings for Isha, like that. That's how it works. But the best thing to do in prayer is to take times that everybody agreed on. Okay? And what I mean by that is, if you have two different times for dawn, you take the earlier time. Okay? Now, they agree what time Fajr ends. They agree what time Dhuhr ends. They don't agree what time Dhuhr ends. Dhuhr can either end when the shadow is double or one time its length, right? So you finish Dhuhr before it's one time its length, but you only pray Asr after it's double. You see that? You prayed in a time every scholar agreed on. That's the most cautious. The most caution you can do is pray it like that. But even if you were just to stick to one opinion, it's fine. But I'm just saying what's the most cautious. Okay, this is all in Salah. All in Salah. These are the different timings and the different units of prayer. Then you have Isha. Isha is going to be 4 rakat sunnah. 4 rakat sunnah. 4 rakat farad. 4 rakat farad. 2 rakat sunnah. 2 rakat sunnah. And then 3 rakat witr. So you have 4, 4, some say 2, 2, and then 3. 4, 4, 2, 2, and 3. The 3 is witr, that's a little bit different. Some of them are mu'akkadah, some of them are ghayr mu'akkadah. I'll write it down which ones are mu'akkadah and which ones are ghayr mu'akkadah. So you have 4, 4, 2, 2, 3. Some of them are nafal too. But I'll write them all. Next week, inshallah, I'll write them all down on the board. I'll send it. So you have 4, 4, 2, 2, and then you have witr. Some scholars have said that the time for Isha ends when you take the middle of the night. And by middle of the night, I don't mean midnight. I mean the sun set at 7:50 and sunrise is at 6:30. 7, 8:50, 9:50, 10:50, 11:50, 12:50, 1:50. So let's say 6:50. That gives you exactly 11 hours. So at 5 hours and 30 minutes, that's the middle of the night. So you have from 7:30, 7:50, 8:50, 9:50, 10:50, 11:50, 12:50. You have till 1:20 a.m. to pray Isha. That's the middle of the night, 1:20 a.m. If you take sunrise and sunset and divide it in two, then it comes out to 1:20 a.m. They said you have till 1:20 a.m. to pray Isha. And some scholars said no, you have all the way till Fajr. Even though it's disliked, but you have the whole night to pray Fajr. And then at the end, to pray Isha. Up until Fajr, you have till to pray Isha. And some scholars say no, middle of the night. The ones we follow, we take the whole night. Even though it's not good at any time to delay your prayers till the end. It's never good to delay your prayers. You always pray them early, beginning time. You never delay them. But we're just talking about the logistics of the timing. So some said then, some said that. Are there any questions about this? Everyone got these times?
Is there any question?
No.
No? Okay. This is all in relation to Salah, which is the second principle. I don't know, there's only 15 minutes, so I don't think I'll go into the next, which is fasting. I think we'll just leave it up to there, inshallah. If you have any questions, you could ask them. Even if it's not about this, any other topics, any other questions you may have. Yes?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you pray your Isha, so a question about the Tahajjud prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that your last prayer of the night should be your witr.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I know there's 3 types of Tahajjud, right? One is
Uh-huh.
And then there's one right before Fajr prayer, like an hour or 30 minutes before it. So do you recommend that I pray my, how do I say this?
Oh, you pray your witr. When should you pray your witr?
Yes.
Okay. First of all of those three different types of tahajjud are really only one type, okay? In reality, it's only one type. So technically, you prayed Isha, okay? You're done Isha, okay? Anything between the time that you pray Isha to the time that you pray Fajr is all going to be voluntary prayer, correct? Okay. Tahajjud is specifically, if you want to go into the logistics of tahajjud, what does it really mean? It means that a person went to sleep, woke up, and then prayed. Okay? To be technical, sleep has to be involved. He had to have woken up. If he stayed awake all night, it's still tahajjud, but it's not necessarily tahajjud. Okay? Technically, there was sleep involved. But regardless, if he was awake, I'm not saying don't pray. You should still pray. I'm just saying what tahajjud literally means is that he went to sleep, got up, and then prayed. Now, when it comes to your witr prayer, okay, the Prophet ﷺ, he would always pray the witr prayer as the last thing that he prayed, okay, of the night, the last thing that he prayed in the night. So we also recommend that the last thing a person prays is the witr prayer as well. The point of witr is it takes all your prayer of the night and it makes it odd, okay? Because you were praying after Maghrib, because Maghrib is still considered a salah of the day, from Isha. You had Isha, maybe Taraweeh, maybe Tahajjud. You were praying 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and at the end you pray 3 to make it odd, okay? So we like to make it odd, you pray it at the end. The last thing you're going to pray of the night, witr. But we tell people that, let's say the guy, he has an intention, I'm going to wake up for tahajjud. Some days he wakes up, some days he doesn't. He maybe wakes up Monday, sleeps Tuesday, Wednesday. Wakes up Wednesday, Thursday, sleeps Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But he sets his alarm clock all 7 days. We don't tell him that pray your witr at the end, because that means 5 days out of the week he missed it. So we tell such a person, hey, if you don't think you're going to wake up, pray it before you go to sleep. Make sure you pray before you go to sleep. Let's say another guy, he's been getting up to pray tahajjud for the last 5 years. We tell that guy, hey, I'm almost sure you're going to get up. You pray your tahajjud at the end of the night. So it depends on the person. If the person doesn't think I'm going to get up, even if he sets his alarm, he thinks, hey man, I don't know if I'm going to get up, then you pray your tahajjud before you go to sleep. If the person is almost positive, he's 99% sure, hey, I think I'm going to get up, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get up, then you pray your witr as the last thing that you pray for the night. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did,
You said that Isha prayer should be for half of the night, right?
uh-huh.
So isn't witr also part of it?
No, witr is not part of Isha. Witr is a separate prayer. It has no correlation with Isha. It's only to be prayed after Isha, but it has nothing to do with Isha. Make sense? Yeah, okay.
It's okay to pray witr after Isha namaz.
It has to be prayed after Isha. It has to be. You can't pray witr before Isha, but it's not part of Isha. It's its own separate thing. Make sense? Any other questions?
So Zuhr, Zenith, you don't pray.
No.
So for Zuhr, so after how many minutes it starts the Zuhr?
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
The same thing that we take at sunrise, sunset, but for Dhuhr, it would be better to even take 10, 15 minutes. Sunrise, even better to take 10, 15 minutes before you pray. You have Ishraq.
Yeah.
So it's better you wait like 15 minutes for Ishraq. If you wait 5, it's good. It's the bare minimum.
When is Ishraq?
Ishraq is as soon as the sun rose. The sun rises at 6:30. Ishraq starts at 6:35. If you take the bare minimum time, some would say wait till 6:40. Some will say wait till 6:45. But
How
if
long can you do Ishraq?
you can do Ishraq from when the sun rose, 6:35, but not very long. It doesn't last long. It's like 6:35, maybe another half hour, 45 minutes or so. That's Ishraq.
You can just do whatever, 2 or 4.
Two. But if you pray 2, yeah. then when the sun is between Ishraq and the zenith. So the zenith is here and sunrise was here, and now you're like in the middle. So let's say 11 o'clock, mid-morning, then you have Salat Duha, mid-morning prayer. The Prophet ﷺ will also pray another 2-2, mid-morning prayer. That's called Duha. Then after Maghrib, the Prophet ﷺ would pray another 6. It was called Awabin. The Prophet ﷺ would pray another 6 called Awabin. And then after Isha, the Prophet ﷺ had Tahajjud. These are very prophetic prayers. Ishraq, Duha, Awabin, Tahajjud. But that's, some people do, some people don't. But it's good. If you can, you should. For sure. Do you have any questions, brother? What was your name again?
Sorry.
Saeed.